5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Welcome, listeners or viewers, for Assiduous Dust, episode number 12. I have with me today the lovely, beautiful Ellyn Maybe. Yes, she is here with me, and she is Ellyn Maybe. I will ask her later about, of course, about her wonderful story about her name. Maybe. Will I? Yes, I will. It's like Night at the Roxbury. Yes? No? Well, it's Ellyn Maybe today. And so we'll be doing an interview. It'll be great. Ask some questions. I'm so excited. I hope you are too. And of course, we'll do the OTSC on the spot collaborative poem at the end. Without further ado, let me click my cheat sheet and read a little bit about Ellyn for those might not know about her. And this is just a little bit about Ellyn. Ellyn Maybe is a Southern California-based poet, very groovy also, United States Artist nominee for 2012, is the author of numerous books, so many books. I really love her Cowardice of Amnesia also, and is widely anthologized. She has a critically acclaimed album, Rodeo for the Sheepish, which is produced with Hen House Studios, and her latest poetry/music project is called Ellyn and Robbie. Remember, lowercase e, lowercase r, ampersand, always. Their album, Skywriting with Glitter, has also received high praise, very groovy. She also has forthcoming collaborative poetry projects. Oh, I guess with some guy named Joshua Corwin, whoever the hell he is. Yeah, he's probably some a-hole. Including Ghosts Sing Into the World's Ear, which is the first of the Ghost Accordion series, first wave, with coming soon with Mystic Boxing Commission. Okay, there is so much more about Ellyn, and it's just awesome. Ellyn, thank you so much for joining me. And is there something that you desperately want to say that you are afraid to say because your heart is just so big and you just want to say it? You just want to say it to the world. Now's your chance, Ellyn.
Oh wow.
What is it?
I'm trying to think. I hope we're all having a special time now. I hope the world's better now.
I do too. So this is being recorded in the past. So the past is now the future that is the present. And I'm trying not to quote Mad Villain of the album of Shadows of Tomorrow when saying that, which is a great thing. So Ellyn, it's just, first off, I really love your hat. And I know it's, you know, I want to focus on not really you, I guess just your clothing. Let's focus on your clothing. I'm just joshing around, but you know, tell me about that, because I've seen you a lot with different stylish hats and hats. I'm not wearing one, but I find that that's important for me. And I think that it's part of an image. I think because you weren't always Ellyn Maybe. Maybe you were kind of like hiding inside. And so you know, just tell me about how that, I'm sure you told many individuals about how that name stuck. And, you know, how did then your hat or different hats kind of get involved?
Well, you know, the first time I never thought I would read poetry aloud or do, I was super shy growing up. Like I wouldn't order in restaurants or anything. I just was. Which is
hard to believe given what you've done.
No, thank you. I mean, I was just super shy. So when I first went to readings, I never thought I would read, and they were, it's one of the open readings, I ended up just saying, Ellyn, maybe I'll read. I put in parentheses, so I wasn't sure I was going to do it. And I ended up doing that. You know, I met S.A. Griffin at my very first reading that I ended up reading. And he was the people there were really warm and friendly and encouraging. So
Yeah.
it just stuck, you know. I'm shy, you know, but giddy, a mixture.
Yeah, but it makes a good combination, you know.
Mhm, mhm. And I like cats. I think they're fun, and yeah, it's yeah.
So tell me about this particular hat. By the way, also Essay is also a friend of the show of Assiduous Dust, and I had the pleasure of meeting him and getting to have him on the show. And he's just a sweetheart and a lovely individual, and just so profound also. And so he's just one of those individuals. And I don't know, I've heard from other people also that, because it's interesting, you know, I'm part of for LA in that community, and I've heard that from many individuals, like, okay, it's different. The communities of poetry and stuff is different. And I'm just wondering also, and maybe the hat comes into play here, we'll see. But have you noticed that there's been a shift in the LA poetry community? And just, I don't know, have you noticed something or certain changes? And, you know, I don't know, how, do you think there's been one? And you know, has it been a good one, beneficial, or detrimental, or just a change, or what? And I don't know, you know, let's you know, what might be symptomatic and how can we get it back or keep it going?
That's interesting. Well, I mean, it's, you know, there's different changes at times. Even like I say that as traffic increased over the years, logistics became more challenging and stuff. So I mean, it used to be very possible to, you know, go up to Santa Barbara to do, you know, hear a reading or listen to something and come back. Like it's rush hour, things got more, you know, logistics got more complex.
Comparing from how much time would it have been to, you know, or let's use pre-COVID figures, even though things have somewhat smoothed out at certain times, it's still a lot less, but let's, you know, just what's the difference there?
I mean, well, say from the valley, and you know, one could just get on the freeway at that point and go up to something, and not, you know, try to not be at rush hour, but to hear events in general, not just, you know, specifically only poetry readings, but just moving around the city at different times was easier. Then it got, you know, more, and then also the internet, you know, before things, there wasn't as many ways to say know about what was going on, but people seemed to know people. You know, there was a lot of poetry listings this day, poetry flash. There was a magazine called Next magazine that had listings of poetry for different regions and stuff. So, I mean, I think there's a lot. Each era has its own thing. There was beautiful places like the Iguana Cafe that was around in like the very late 80s to the mid 90s, had a lot of wonderful stuff there. And
so I missed out on the stuff for that because I didn't come into existence until the early 90s, unfortunately. Though my soul might have been born. Yeah. So tell me about it. Like, let's set the stage, because a lot of individuals are really, especially during the pandemic, are really, I feel like, really reminiscent of, or not reminiscent, I'm not sure if that's the right term, of just like knowing, like, especially missing in-person readings. And there's a it's been completely, you know, obliterated. Maybe there's some certain things, it depends on conditions. Of course, it's restricted or whatnot. I haven't been to, I might be going to one, we'll see what, you know, I think so. But you know, how, so would you paint us a picture for those nostalgic, I guess? Yeah, you know, give us some of that juice.
Well, I mean, the Iguana Cafe was an amazing place because it was very attentive. Like the man who, you know, Tommy Anello, he had it, and he and his wife had it at the time, and it was so quiet. So it was the kind of place that if they didn't have any kind of soda machine or anything like that, everything was geared towards listening, you know. And there was a lot of singer-songwriters, but they listened to the poets, and sometimes, you know, we'd open or play the same shows. And it was super cool because I've always loved music so much, so I love being in environments that are eclectic that way. You know, it was really a wonderful place. It was fantastic, you know, very great. Yeah.
Right. So I'm just, you know, I'm saying, when would you say that you considered yourself like, you know, finally that we all have that transition of like, that we become like, okay, become a poet, or are able to use that word and be like, even to friends or whatnot, you know, not just a writer or a certain, you know, would you say that, when would you say that happened? And like kind of also, because you've done a lot also, you've been, you know, many different talks that you've given, you've spoken at many different universities, you've done whole different things, you've traveled out of the country for different things of, what is it for, wasn't there a residency somewhere or something? There was, or I forget where. Yeah.
Well, I know the band, we played at Glastonbury Festival in the UK.
Right,
that's yeah, and some stuff in Ireland too, and I did something in Shakespeare and books.
So,
yeah.
So how does that work for like individuals? Because, you know, like, of course you didn't think you would be reading poetry. So how does that transition kind of, you know, take place, especially for, let's say, young aspiring individuals who are being like, maybe I can be like Ellyn Maybe. I just had to say that. We'll see how many, and just like, I don't know. So like your experience and kind of strength and hope to like offer for future generations, because there are a lot of individuals who might be shy and afraid, or like, I didn't know that I could write about and read about what I want to write about and read about. I didn't know that that was something that could be done. A lot of individuals, you'll find, especially of, you know, even not even individuals affiliated in academia with poetry, but just in general don't know, you know, oh, this can be poetry. I'm allowed to talk about this. I'm allowed to use these words. I'm allowed to make things with a surreal, I kind of think of your work with a surreal, everyday effect of like bringing a surrealism into the everyday with a unique vulnerability. And I find like what, you know, because you didn't always write that way, right? And how do you, and you weren't always doing things and doing this or that. So, you know, tell us about your process and what, you know, what others can do. I know that's a big question, but just like maybe we could break it up into little chunks, or just pick at just like a little aspect of it.
I'm trying to think. Well, I mean, is it important? You know, I think to hopefully find encouragement and to find resonance. And I know that over the years, I really love to go to all different events. And, you know, just to, listen to music, listen to people read from novels, just see a lot of films. I really love it. In fact, I went to film school in Prague for 2 years. You know, I mean, not that I was like good at necessarily make film per se, but just the environment of it. I love film, love the Czech New Wave, a lot of the French New Wave, a lot of the New Waves, and just in general, and it was so inspiring and beautiful. So a lot of it is like falling into different environments, kind of following your heart about stuff, you know. You know, so I mean, I lived in New York like for a couple of years, many years ago. I just had always wanted to go, you know, just kind of try different things, and you know, just a lot of, that's why I said to write poems when I was living in New York. They just came to me. They just still do, like poems.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I find that often for individuals, of course, you might have time for writing and stuff to like train it, and you know, but it coming to you, and there's that thing of you know, that there's that notion of like necessarily like of does the poet write the poem, or is the poem gifted to the poet in a way, and the poet is just the vessel kind of like through which it's transmitted, and the point is being in areas, or in being part of the world as, and utilize the world as a means, you know, by which to be that vessel, to be a poet. And that, you know, and how's that kind of changed that you find? Because I know that a lot of your stuff is also grounded in place as well as in memory.
Yeah, I mean, when I lived in Prague, wrote a hope called Prom the Poet. I wrote like a chapbook there. Yeah, a lot of places. It does. There's certain things that when you're in different environments, you just, the whole feel of being in a different place has different things. There's certain things that are just because you are you wherever you are too, but you're also moving around different places and you're meeting different
part of the environment, and so you kind of you absorb it kind of like a sponge. And of course, you don't want to lose yourself, but you also want to be able to grow by being in your environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I mean, it's just, I think it's yeah, really, if people really enjoyed all different things. It's definitely part of poetry is just all different things, you know, a lot of things that are inspirational that way and inspiring. But I mean, I know that just going and seeing a lot of films or seeing different things or doing different things, it's just part of a whole piece, I think, you know. And
it's one giant poem. And that's like life's, you know, life's a box of chocolates. You never know what life's a poem. You never know what the muse is gonna serve you.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's a groovy dish. Best served through poetry. So I'm, you know, I'm curious of just, you know, I'm trying not to focus too much on what we, because I know that we're working on some stuff with, or there's some individual named Joshua Corwin's working on some stuff with you, and I don't know. I think he's that guy's kind of weird, you know. There might be something wrong with his capacity. I don't know. He's not like Donald Trump. That guy's messed up. Yeah, but you know, there's something off with him, and but don't tell him I said that. Okay, so I wonder, would you read maybe a bit? Do you happen to have from that chapbook that you mentioned a piece or two?
Oh gosh. Oh, you know what? I'm trying to think if where I have that chapbook. I have. I don't know if I do right offhand, but I have this poem I wrote about RBG though. Is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Who doesn't love RBG except yeah, of course. Yes.
But I have that one, but I mean that, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's, of course, you know, there's a certain sensitivity about or whatnot, maybe not sensitivity of that, there's a desire to express new work. I find this with myself, and it's interesting. I'd like to talk to you about that. And of course, we'll take a look at, but would you please Ginsberg us away with your tribute or your RBG piece, please?
Okay, thank you. There's a flurry of judicial collars lining the clouds. Every decision and every dissent stays in the air like musical breath. With your penchant for opera, you were a fermata of wisdom, holding on through the ravages and chaos. Pioneer an epic full of verve and mind-shattering strength, wearing resistance and resilience on your soul. Supreme being, superhero, legendary icon for good. You will remain larger than life in our memories. Breathing your last breath on Rosh Hashanah is said to be the way of the righteous. You are notorious, thrilling, doing what you were put on earth to do. You leave behind stardust and legal briefs and push-ups and tenacity. You were the first in your class. You were one of a kind. You are remembered with respect. The opera glasses hang in the air, waiting for more and more to see how you became music. Through the sky, wisdom sings our hopes awake. Your legacy still lives on earth in every constellation that needs truth. Oh, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you are so dearly missed. It is now up to us to put our collars on and walk into the future with the opera whispering in our ear like a ferocious future in a crescendo. It is now up to us to sing your memory home.
Snap, snap, snap. Clap, clap, clap. Round of applause.
Thank you.
So it's really interesting, and you know, I'm just so enamored also with your voice. I just want to just go in there and just give you a big hug and reach to the screen. That might not be. See, again, that guy, whoever is, you know, Joshua Corwin, he's a little nutso, but you know, I like nuts. I think I have some over there in the kitchen, anyways. But I'm not hungry right now. I love lunch. No, and I find that, you know, you have a unique way. I'm not sure if you've noticed that you'll slow down, like of home, and you'll slow down. And I find, is there a way that there's almost a crescendo effect, when you wrote that, what's that line of the crescendo line? Could you go back and read that?
Let's see. Oh, with the opera whispering in our ear like a ferocious future in a crescendo? Is that?
Yeah, there's almost like a certain effect that happens, and when you read it, it's interesting, and you've been, you know, you have such an ethereal voice. I feel like I'm courting you, you know, like, oh, you have such an ethereal. Maybe I am. I don't know. Maybe that's the secret, that all this podcast thing is all a ruse to court lovely individuals like yourself and all my guests. Maybe not. I hope not. But with the best intentions, of course. You know. Yeah, and I'm just joshing around. You have a very lovely voice, and it's very powerful. And I find that, you know, how did that, but I want to focus on the piece. You know, I think you really highlighted well of her life, that she was the first of her class. She has done so many things, and she still continues to influence individuals and so much, and become a beacon of light and of hope. And that's the thing, is that, I don't know, I feel like there's a poet in that Ruth Bader Ginsburg kind of lived her life as a poet in a way, of certain things, as an advocate. And it might not be like poetry per se, but there are different things of going beyond. You know, I'm going to say a terrible pun of going beyond Baroque, not going for Baroque, but, and I know that you had a residency, I think, at Beyond Baroque also, but I don't know, you know, did you find that at a time, you know, how did that, you know, influence you or whatnot, of when, you know, what kind of inspired you to do that? And as well, I want to talk about also with Rosh Hashanah, because I'm Jewish as well, and I find that that's, you know, it is the way of the righteous to go on a Rosh Hashanah. There's a certain connection, and I find, you know, are you practicing, or are you, how do you identify, or maybe I shouldn't be asking those questions, you know, of certain things, but you find, because I find that your work isn't necessarily, it's spiritual, maybe there's a bit of religious, but more spiritual in certain things, and I just wonder, you know, how has that, you know, how does faith kind of work in, to your work, or sort of an ethereal beauty that's unknown, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think just, you know, culturally, you know, they're going to different events and hearing different, you know, songs and different, being inspired by all that too. I think it just all part of it all, that it has a definite, part of things, certainly. Yeah. It's definitely, I'm sure, to the lens of me,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not making fun of it. I just, I find that you have a certain way with words. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm just messing with you right there. But I do, No, and it's a beautiful piece, and it's a beautiful tribute. And I found that, for me, that Judaism or certain things of religion has been, intersected with my work. And I just wonder how has religion or spirituality kind of influenced you, not just from poetry, but also in your life or whatnot. Or do you kind of look at that there's this muse that I think, I don't know, because a lot of individuals look at poetry as a spiritual or a religious practice of sorts. And just, I don't know what your relationship with that, if I might be so bold and, upright to ask about that.
Yeah, I don't totally know how. I mean, so many things probably all play a part in how, the different things, because it feels like the pieces reference a lot of different things and kind of go in different, the future, the past, it's sort of hard to know how that all happens, but it seems to be, I think it's sort of a part of your life in some way part of your life seems to play a part in one's art and one's life too, and just it inspires. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I wonder, so just kind of, backtracking a bit, that, tell me about, who is this handsome fella I've heard of, Robbie, and who's this Ellyn that's in Robbie and Ellyn, whoever she is, I don't know, but tell us, how did you get involved with that, and how did that project of Robbie and Ellyn, as well as the Ellyn Maybe band, how did that kind of come into being? Because it really is an amazing thing, and I hope one day to be able to get a chance to witness that. And how did that, what was the what's the word? The impetus, for that.
Okay. Well, first of all, there was the Ellyn Maybe band and Robbie was in my band and stuff, and the band was wonderful. It was a bunch of different performers together. A lot of people were singer-songwriters and had bands, and in that I worked with music sometimes with the iguana doing, where people, sometimes somebody would play music behind and different stuff, but I hadn't ever been in a band like how that was, and everything sort of came together, and we did a lot of shows. There was a lot of support for that and everything.
And paint a picture of the first show and leading up to that, if you can recall.
Wow, I think the first show was at the Talking Stick in Venice, Santa Monica, Ocean Park. It's right around there. And it was just really cool. And Robbie, it was in Harlan from Hen House Studios. The three of us, I think, were the first show, and then it grew. The band ended up growing. More people ended up participating, and we would also at the shows we would have poets come up, and the band would improvise behind them.
And that's great, because spontaneity and that welcoming of that interactiveness, because poetry should be inviting, especially with music, and why not?
Yeah.
How did that come to be? Like, was it just like one day who was like, yeah, just let someone? How did that come to be?
It just seemed to be a natural thing out of what we were doing, because I was reading the band. It was doing that, and when we started doing stuff at Beyond Baroque, we had a poetry music residency where we would play and people would come up, and so that was happening, and it was really nice. It was neat for the us and the poets, of course, that had a great to get a chance, and it was the band's very good, so it was really fun, and it was a kind of atypical thing, and it was neat, and then at the same time I was doing this as well, I was starting to write songs with Robbie as well, and it would be amazing. He would just start playing something, and the poem would just come to me. It was just incredibly, amazingly magical how it happened. So we formed the project Ellyn and Robbie, concurrently and stuff, and we had to do different things. And so we did a record, the Skywriting Glitter that you mentioned. So each thing is different. Each person you collaborate, it's a different thing, and it was, you know, really fun too. So I mean, yeah, I love working with music. Because I love music. And
Yeah.
it's neat.
You know, you don't have many people that are like, you know, what's your favorite music? And they're like, what's that? That doesn't happen too often. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
No, sorry, to continue.
Oh no, I mean, I can just see that how inspired I've been from. I mean, some of the most beautiful things I've ever done is getting to hear Leonard Cohen in concert.
Yeah,
and that's just beautiful. You know,
yeah, and I somebody told me that he also did poetry, and I was introduced to his work, you know, of course after his passing, but he was out around Claremont, you know, that area or whatnot, or around that area or whatnot, right? But he which is where I went to school, you know, for undergrad, and he, you know, I just fell in love the master of the master song. From the older stuff of, you know, the songs of Leonard Cohen, and just an entire album, and just all his other work. It's just great, and it's, as is, you know, talk about somebody with a great voice, and as he aged, his voice got better to the purpose of what he was doing, and his voice aided and embedded the music in a way, as it fit his voice to the instrumentals. And, you know, I find that that's interesting, because you find that a lot of musicians, in fact, it's more the music that informs the words. But with the Ellyn Maybe band and whatnot, I think that's also, it's in both ways. But particularly, I think, wouldn't you say that there's a bit of emphasis also on the voice influencing the music? Even though there is a reciprocal relationship that is quite powerful, as well as with your work with Robbie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the music can affect the way you read, the timing, the tempo, and everything, and it just feels natural. I mean, it's kind of really an organic process, a lot of these things, because yeah, I think it's good to try things. I mean, I think it's good, I'd say, for anybody, if they have the opportunity to do stuff like that, to try it and see, because I think I mean, there's been so many things. I once was like at a pledge reading, and somebody had like ended up recommending me to be in a movie where I play a poet, you know, where it was like, you know, very.
And you are a poet. You're
Right,
yeah, it's smartastic. No.
But it was funny, because then I ended up in the Screen Actors Guild and stuff. So then I would go to all these events, and they would have the nominating committee for the movies. And that would be so cool, because I love movies. So I think that I fall into things like constantly, I think. There's like.
Well, what would you say is your favorite movie, like currently? I know not all the time, but right now that pops in your head, one of your favorites.
Oh, well, you know what? It's not a current movie. One movie that I've always, and you know, it's funny.
That's
in my head? Oh, well,
depending of where you're at, of your favorite movies, you know?
Well, one of them's got to be Shoot the Piano Player by Truffaut, Francois Truffaut.
I have not seen that.
Yeah, that was really cool. In fact, I wrote about that when I was writing something about when I went to film school in Prague. I ended up writing something about that. But I love musicals too. I love musical theater. I just love lots of the arts. I find that that's super important to me, to just just love the arts. You know, there's so many big things.
Absolutely, and I find that you know, and so it sounds like one thing is you've shared is to be vulnerable. You know, to experiment with different opportunities, and just, you know, if you're shy or whatnot, okay, let's embrace it, and like, hey, I'm shy, and here I am, and that also points out, as well as to collaborate and learn from other individuals, and that's, you know, I think that you know, for me as a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, I find that those things are really necessary also, but I found that it's really great as well to live that way, with this sort of, you talked about a spontaneity and creating of, you know, you kind of feel things out. And so, you know, would you say that, you know, and it's important because a lot of the times I think that, you know, I can be a bit of a perfectionist, I might admit. I must admit, and I find that when I go into that way, I kind of drown out that ability of spontaneity and that collaborative sense and that you know, kind of loving kindness of the open-mindedness and willing to experiment when I get too ingrained in that. And I find for you, you know, how do you know, do you ever find yourself going there, and what do you do, and how do you kind of practice balance, you know, doing so many things as well to kind of like ground yourself as well? I'm just curious because I think that's especially during the pandemic and everything, being grounded is really important. And how do you do you have like a routine, a daily routine? Does it influence writing, have to do with writing or reading or performing or something? What you know, walk us through, and it's like a 3 or 4 part question. I talk a lot also.
I don't know. I don't really have a specific. I'm very nocturnal, so I've been my whole life really a night owl. So I don't.
Your spirit animal is a night owl. Definitely.
A giraffe, a night owl giraffe. They only sleep like a little bit, but I need more than that. But they're so cute. I love giraffes.
Yeah, I know that you have a big thing. So what is it about giraffes also, and what? I'm just curious. I've been fascinated about this. I've known this thing, and you know, what particularly is that you find fascinates you about giraffes?
Well, I mean, I met some in real life, you know, and then, you know, we wrote a song and we got to perform for one. And you know what, the one we wrote about was like a baby, but very tall already. And now he's a dad. His birthday is coming up on Thursday, and he has a child.
So that's in the past. He's already, when this is released for that, he's already has a,
oh yeah, that's right. He's already, he'll be 8 already, and he does have a child.
Congratulations.
He's in Toronto.
Should we sing, what's his name?
Kiko.
Kiko, happy birthday, Kiko.
Yeah, Kiko. Yeah, so I just love them. They're just so sweet, giraffes are. Lots of animals are. I love penguins too, but giraffes, you know, they have a neat way to, it's cool. But I mean, so I try to think, as far as, well, I mean, I know some people have probably more of a regular schedule, but I mean, it's possible, but I just always been, I just kind of, when the poem comes, then it's, you know, just be ready when a poem could come, and just, you know, but not, I think it's good in a sense that, you know, not to feel pressure, you know, not to feel pressure, because it will come, you know.
You don't want to put yourself in a box.
No, and that's, you know, and just.
Bad poet, write more. No, you don't do that, no.
No.
You wouldn't treat a giraffe that way, and you wouldn't treat yourself that way.
No, and it's important, you know. I mean, I think doing all kinds of other things is important too. I think it's just, I mean, all the different art forms, like, I really think it's mentioned, it just really inspiring. I know that at times, like LACMA, you know, seeing an art show or going to a cinema retrospective, I think everything is really vital, you know. To me, it has been just to be inspired and really love the other art forms, and, you know, the poems kind of just happen, and it's just really been very nourishing to, you know, the various things have been wonderful. I really grateful for that, because I just find so much inspiration in just the other arts, and they're wonderful to hear, and I appreciate music. I was just listening to like George Harrison's song, "Isn't It a Pity?" It's just so beautiful.
Oh, that's such a great song. Oh my God.
Yeah, really, it's incredible. And just, there's so much in music. Music is so thoroughly emotional, and it just is so much there. And, Yeah,
You could be driving in the car and all of a sudden you hear a song, and it's like a shooting star. It'll knock you off your feet. All of a sudden you'll just have this big giant goofy smile like this, and you'll be like, yeah, that's nice. And you could be in traffic and you'll be like, I don't care. It's great. And it's funny how that works. And there's something there, and you can't put your finger on it.
Yeah.
Maybe you could. I don't know.
There's so much now. I mean, there's so much available to hear and archive. When I used to go to the archives, like at KPFK, they different talks. Like, it's fun and important. It's neat to hear stuff, historically interesting stuff that's gone on, and there are just so many things that are like just to relish in learning about. I mean, I think it's cool to learn stuff and hear stuff and just all different stuff. It's neat,
So I learned that also that your history. I don't mean like you're gone or whatnot. But I know that you have there's a monument to you for the Poets Monument that's out in for Venice area. How did that come to be? And what did you call you up and they're like, we chiseled you in?
Oh, well, they have that. That the Venice.
We splatter painted your body, and it's gorgeous. Or something like just. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to come up with goofy things, and how that come to be, because it's quite miraculous. I know just because I lived in the area, and I remember you pointed out. I'm like, oh, shoot, I gotta check that out. So like to tell me about that. Sign me up. Or chiseled. I also like chiseled abs, but not gonna happen.
Oh, they did a wonderful project. Oh, that was, I guess, around, I'd like to think it might be around 2000 or so. They did a project for where they have people pick an excerpt from a poem. And I picked one of a poem. It excerpts Blonde on Blonde in Eddie Doucette, Blonde on Blonde by Dylan, Eddie Doucette, a Milwaukee sportscaster. And so there's all these different fragments, and they did that. And there's a lot of history there of different poets from different eras around the Venice Beach area, from the different musicians. I mean, just so many different people are there. And so I was really honored to be part of that. It's really cool and wonderful.
You know what it is? It's not cool and it's not wonderful. It's groovy.
That's true. It's all that. Yeah, groovy is.
That's a commercial right there. It's not cool. It's not wonderful. It's groovy.
Yeah.
It's groovy. No, and you're groovy, and I find just do you happen to have a poem about that came a little to you, I guess. Do you have a poem about the process of writing, perhaps, or about something maybe that was around the time of the monument for that project?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Well, I have that poem about being an artist, So I have a poem about being an artist. Would that, I mean, where'd it go? Oh, here. I mean, would that be kind of a different thing? I don't know if that's.
Yeah, that'd be a different thing. Or let's see. Yeah.
Let me think.
Yeah. Or you flip to a random poem in your book, or just a rant of one of your books.
Oh.
I don't know. We'll just figure it out. But I just love that little that little flower of the rosebud there. It's just gonna bloom. I must admit that I have a phobia of glitter. I'm a glitterphobe, and or would it be agora or no phobia or a glitter phobia? And I personally, I know my mom has told me some people like they think that, you know, there are people who love glitter and there are people that don't. And unfortunately, I'm one that I feel like, oh shoot, we gotta hide in the cellar. I'm one of those people. It's weird, but I love you. You're amazing, despite the glitter. And apologies to any glitter lovers. Do you have it?
Oh, wait, which are you seeing being an artist or anything else or something else? Are you talking
How about being an artist? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I do have that now. Yeah, so hopefully that's, yeah, I mean, yeah. So this is being an artist. Being an artist means the recession will always be there and has always been here, while you sit not writing screenplays, not taking meetings, just writing love letters to Van Gogh's beard, not wearing a watch, not caring who's on the cover of People magazine. Being an artist means you might sleep awfully late. You might choose totally different things as the 4 major food groups. Being an artist might mean you feel depressed and make others feel distressed when they are near you. Being an artist means you probably memorize the aisles of the 99-cent store. You probably have a $12 service charge each month for low funds in your checking account. Being an artist means you don't feel you have the right to remain silent. Being an artist might make people think you're on drugs. Being an artist means people think your closet is full of turtlenecks and mood rings. People assume you play harmonica. People assume you know all the words to every song released in the 1960s. Being an artist means you do. Being an artist means serenity, intensity, sometimes simultaneously. Being an artist means you have the power of civil disobedience on the tip of your tongue. Being an artist means shrinking tie-dye t-shirts because you were thinking about a poem and didn't notice the washer was on hot water. Being an artist is an active verb, a noun, a consonant, an adjective in a world full of chaotic life sentences. Being an artist is not necessarily a choice.
Yeah, no, it's not. And I realized, like, you know, I was an artist way before I thought that I was one. You know, I also do abstract nudes, by the way. I'd be more than happy to do that of you. Maybe not. We'll see. You don't. I don't. That's a joke. But I do abstract nudes also. Oh shoot! Is this still recording? It is. Blooper. Okay, that's a joke. I'm just joshing around, but no. In all due seriousness, I have poor taste of humor, but I find that in terms of you really don't have a choice, and it's interesting. Like a lot of those things of habits, and there's certain things of lifestyles of certain and people can have a negative attitude towards it, but in fact, it's a really beautiful thing and a beautiful way also of looking at the world, and as well as you don't have a choice to be silent, and that's really, you don't have a choice, and I find that, you know, a lot of the political movements and things, you know, there's a connection. You find like what, you know, during a lot of political movements or certain things, you find like there's always an uptick in poetry. There's a uptick in art, of murals, of journal, all these types of things. And it's an integral part of history. And I think it's an integral part of the human soul. And I don't know, I just really love those lines. I think they're universal and they resonate. And I guess, you know, can we strive to be an artist? You know, like, you know, sometimes we might want to fight it, but, you know, I don't know. Have there been times where you've tried to, you know, fight it and you've had to accept that you're an artist?
No, I really haven't fought it. I've been appreciative of it, and I mean, you know what? I think people can be an artist artist of cooking or artists of appreciating stuff too, because that, you know, if
as an attitude also.
Yeah, exactly.
Art as an attitude, artist as an attitude. I like that. That's great. That's a great quote, by the way. That should be on a t-shirt, honestly. Yeah. Maybe you could have groovy on the back. No, so Ellyn, it's time. Drum roll, please. Okay, so I wonder, would you be an artist with me and embrace the attitude that is our human reaction and be together in place? Let's be eye openers. So Ellyn, would you maybe do the OTSCP on the spot collaborative poem with me?
Yeah, that would love to. Yep.
Grooviness on a step. So the name of the game, I have a few books out. Ellyn has a few books that you have out, right? And so wherever our eyes go to, we're just gonna like kind of, for me, for listeners or viewers, you know, wherever your eye goes, you just go and you kind of look and you, you know, and please do this, collaborate. Ellyn has said about how collaboration is groovy. I've inserted the word groovy in there. And how, you know, you have a few books out, open face, so that you can see, you know, them 3 or 4, and you do it with a friend or, you know, whoever, a loved one or whatnot, and you have, you know, wherever your eyes gaze, you know, I see a word and then another word there, and you kind of piece it together, and it becomes a masterpiece or a masterpiece, and you go back and forth. So Ellyn, first, before we begin, would you please grace us by sharing the names of each book and the author of them?
Yeah. One is called How to Read by V. Vale, and one is called Bird Interpretations, New and Selected Poems, Amelie Frank and Michael Paul. And one is called Tangles and Twigs, Poems by Joan Ross, 2014.
Okie dokie. Awesome. Terrific. Okie dokie. Artichoke. And what are the page numbers? Or do you have it out to, you know, you have for the page numbers for each?
Oh, one of them doesn't seem to have pages, but oh, it's funny. One is on 26, 27, one's on 28 and 29, and one doesn't seem to have, oops, oh wait, what the page fell out? Oh, I see this again. One of them doesn't have page numbers. This one thing doesn't have page numbers.
That's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
That's okay.
I mean, so yeah.
We'll forgive the book. Okie dokie. So you know the rules, right? Okay, so let's, would you like to begin?
Let's see. Okay. Magisterial mystery writer. Hug. Sleep. Tisk tisk. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. That was Imagine Stereo writer Tisk Tisk.
Magisterial mystery writer, Hug, Sleep, Tisk Tisk.
Okie dokie. Sorry. It is metaphysical feeling, unknowable as electron honey poisoned.
Philosophical bookstores, rub 'em. Felix the cat.
Feel passion for chases, excuse sky, the entire night woo tea.
Radiohead, Radiohead, Stage Shrink, Uncle Owen Mom, Sweep Up Glass.
Energy does not get rid of the highest phenomenon of your introspection.
Kitsch, logo, reflected, foul candle.
And what is logic?
Glorified, orderly, drag my broom.
The apple cart getting real, arms in the night before, mystery of wisdom which I seek.
Venice, Italy, transom, magnifying glass, shattered vase.
A peculiar strangeness which can be ordered, a feeling of moksha, epistemology, speculative, smiled mountain of strawberry and cookies, homemade God.
Curiously Canadian, cleared your throat, cicada choir, scrape glass like bits of ice.
The most hardened feelings, the limits, overwhelming desire, conquering temptations. I say don't encourage. I warned my reason highway, hitchhiking poets and marriage.
She's really a poet. Clasping and unclasping. Dust bunnies. Careful the chandelier.
Intimately disquieting, unwillingness to contemplate, to forget can be maintained on the highway, gas, only God would know.
Hitch chase store. Day room light, cran, fist fights, sighing, dangling like tears.
Otherwise, the realm of wonder, the solution, unreal, mad, Mary Lou, homemade tea, flash, soap, be good, I should get failure married to wisdom with God's laws, such violations destroy light, best within, misery, denial.
Power of dream, mythology, shadow conduct, no rhythm, survivor, great something.
Frankly, because our inability to attainment of sky, together, my knees and the priest, only wedding, freedom, watching the graphs of bad things seems difficult in their hold, supernal sense of indeterminacy, Brownian.
Word of mouth in a nutshell. Magnifying glass, molded dayroom lights, pieces tinkling brushed against it.
These, for man, is the highest baffling demon, but the ocean pushed a mountain, a young man we never give you.
Sentences conclude. Other planes beginning. Space eternal. Interior.
Behavior, macroscopic, resistance, whenever your heart is good.
Truly craft. River ears. Inconceivable something. Earth. Black hole. Atoms. Antique.
More complete. A mind turns away, rather dry, between honey and happiness, between deeply thought and self-governed, between taste and sweetness to delude, tea and cookies, thinking about Mary Lou.
School, history, politics, childhood, tranquility, lucky, mother, beginning, ashes.
Ooh, I think that's a good ending.
Yeah.
Would you make sure you save the pages or whatnot that you so you could take a picture of them? Would you make sure?
I don't have a phone that I can show it. I have a flip phone, so
Okay.
I can do that. I can show you like
you can send that to me later. That's cool. Just make sure that you can maybe on the computer you could do that later. Just maybe put them face down for now.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we'll have to. I'll type that up. And oh shoot, I forgot to say what books I had out. I had I think I did. I have page 28 and 29 also, but of Gregory Corso's The Happy Birthday of Death.
Oh.
And I have Alan Watts's Become What You Are. I love Alan Watts. It's pages 46 and 47 talking about the language of metaphysical experience. And then I have out by pages 104 and 105 of Paramahansa of Yogananda, which is of Where There Is Light, Insight and Inspiration for Meeting Life's Challenges. And I got it at the Self-Realization Fellowship, the center at in the Pacific Palisades in California, which is just lovely, highly recommend. And it's just beautiful. So so I'll type it up, and I think that was a masterpiece, but life is a masterpiece. It was art. And I think we'll get to figure out a title for it. Why not? Yeah, maybe we'll do that later. We'll share. So Ellyn, I wanted to say it's been a real pleasure, and thank you so much. And I wanted to say, it's also been a pleasure to be able to grow and learn from you, and to be able to collaborate with you as well. It's been a real honor and a blessing for me. I want to say that. I want to make sure that others hear it into the world.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's been an honor. I can't wait for more. And, I'm sure that, there's just so much love in you, and so much goodness, and courage and compassion,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, I know, I'm making you giggle, so I know it's really affecting you. Don't worry. So I want to say, are there any, what's next for you? Do you also have any links or whatnot that for people that they can check out your work? Where can they purchase your work or whatnot? For those fans who are interested.
Oh, they just maybe Google my name. It's with a Y, like ELLYN MAYBE. There's probably some stuff somewhere,
I think so. Yeah. And you have social media? Are you Facebook, Twitter, the Instagram? Do you have a website?
I work on the website, but I do have Facebook. I don't have Twitter. I Instagram. People, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, Ellyn Maybe, folks, thank you so much, and let's maybe wave for the camera.
Oh yeah. Hi. Yeah.
Bye, listeners or viewers. Bye.
Bye.
Okie dokie. And I'm going to stop.